If you do these 6 things alone, your intelligence is rarer than you think. Every morning, before the house woke up, my Uncle Theo carried a cup of coffee to the back porch and did nothing. No phone, no radio, no newspaper. He just sat there, alone, thinking. This is the psychology of quiet men, and what they do alone that almost no one else can. Because there's a study that explains why most men your age could never sit on that porch the way he did, and why the ones who can have a mind that's rarer than they've ever been told. In 2014, researchers at the University of Virginia published a study in the journal Science. They left people alone in a plain room, with nothing to do but think, for 15 minutes. Most hated it. Then they were given a button. Press it, and you'd give yourself a mild electric shock just to break the silence. 67% of the men pressed it. One man pressed it 190 times, to avoid being alone with his own mind. Now picture my Uncle Theo on that porch, 64 years old, a retired land surveyor. He lost my aunt 5 years before, and he lived alone at the end of a gravel road. I used to feel sorry for him. The quiet looked like loneliness to me. It took me a long time, and that study, to understand I had it exactly backwards. He wasn't enduring the silence. He was working in it. Some details here have been changed for privacy. Theo is drawn from patterns I've seen across many men. I've known maybe men like you. Here's what nobody told you about silence. When you stop feeding your mind tasks, it does not switch off. Neuroscientist Vinod Menon at Stanford has spent 2 decades studying the default mode network, the system that comes online the moment you stop performing. His 2023 review describes it weaving memory, language, and meaning into a single internal narrative of who you are. Sitting quietly isn't doing nothing. It's the only time your brain does that particular job. So the first thing quiet men do alone, you sit with an uncomfortable question without forcing an answer. Most minds can't. Uncertainty feels like holding your breath, so they grab the first explanation that ends it and seal the case. You don't. You let the question stay open for days, not because you can't answer it, because you refuse to answer it badly. That's not indecision. That's a man who'd rather be slow and right than fast and wrong. The second thing, alone. You build the case against your own beliefs. Most private thinking is a victory lap. People replay arguments they won. You do the opposite. You take the position you hold most strongly, and you try to take it apart. In 1984, 3 psychologists, Lord, Lepper, and Preston, tested this in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology. People told simply to be objective stayed biased. People told to actively consider the opposite became measurably clearer thinkers. 400 years earlier, Francis Bacon warned that a mind left unchecked quietly collects its own false certainties. The men who escape that aren't the loud ones. They're the ones willing to argue with themselves when no one is keeping score. That isn't self-doubt. Self-doubt asks if you're good enough. This asks if you're correct. Completely different machinery. Now, I want to draw a line, because this is where it gets misunderstood. There's a difference between solitude and loneliness, and it isn't soft. It's measurable. Researchers Nguyen, Ryan, and Deci found in 2018 that time alone calms the mind. It lowers both your high spikes and your low ones and leaves you steadier. But only under one condition. You have to have chosen it. Chosen solitude restores you. Solitude forced on you, or that you drifted into without noticing, does the opposite. So this is not telling you to withdraw from people. It's telling you the hour you choose alone, on purpose, was never the problem the world said it was. Third thing quiet men do alone. You study your own emotions like data. Anyone can feel angry. Very few sit afterward and ask, why that reaction? Why that intensity? Why now? Psychologists call this emotional differentiation. Kashdan and Barrett, in a 2015 review, link it to better regulation and steadier decisions under pressure. And here's the part for men your age specifically. This ability tends to get sharper with age, not duller. You did not have this at 25. You built it. Quietly. Over decades nobody watched. I want to be honest with you about something, because most videos like this won't be. This kind of mind has a cost, and you've already paid some of it. The same attention that reads a room also can't stop reading it. Conversations you replayed for 3 days. People who called you distant when you were actually paying close attention. Maybe a marriage, a friendship, a table where you were present in body and somewhere else entirely. That's real. Pretending it isn't would insult what you've lived. And if that quiet has ever tipped into something heavier, the kind that doesn't lift nothing here is a diagnosis. Talk to a licensed professional. That's not weakness. That's the same clear thinking we're describing, pointed at yourself. If you've stayed with me this far, you're exactly the kind of quiet man I make these for the ones who think in private and rarely get spoken to directly. Subscribe. There's a new one every week, built for the way your mind actually works. Now here's the part I haven't told you yet. The fourth thing. Alone. You go back to old memories and understand them differently. Not the events, the meaning. Something said to you 20 years ago suddenly means something else now. That's not dwelling. That's the default mode network doing exactly what Menon described, reintegrating your past into who you've become. Try something with me right now. Notice where you're sitting. Feel your shoulders. They're probably an inch higher than they need to be. Let them drop. Let the breath out slower than you took it in. That state you just touched. For 1 second loose, internal, unguarded. That's the room where this work happens. Most men never enter it on purpose. Theo lived there an hour every morning. Fifth, you get genuinely obsessed with things that are completely useless to you. Psychologists call this need for cognition the tendency to enjoy hard thinking with no payoff attached. And tellingly, the research finds it has no relationship to loneliness or shyness at all. It's not a sad trait. It's an appetite. Let's be honest about what this actually looks like. It's 11 at night. You have work in the morning. And you are 40 minutes deep into how medieval cities handled their sewage. Nobody asked. There is no exam. Your wife has stopped asking what you're reading, and you could not stop if you tried. That's not a wasted mind. That's a mind that never got domesticated by usefulness. Sixth, and this last one is the quietest and the rarest. You can catch yourself mid-thought and change direction. Most people pick a mental road and drive it off the cliff out of sheer momentum. They'd rather be consistent than correct. You'll be halfway through a conclusion, notice it doesn't hold, and turn the wheel with no ego about the version of you from 4 seconds ago. School never taught that. Work rarely rewards it. You built it alone, where the only audience was the truth. Now let me say the thing plainly. You were told, somewhere along the way, that needing time alone meant something was wrong with you. Cold, closed off, antisocial. A 2022 study by Nguyen and colleagues looked at who actually thrives in solitude. It wasn't the introverts. It was people running their lives from their own values instead of the crowd's pressure. So, the world had it backwards. What they called a defect was autonomy. They were wrong. And this isn't a case for disappearing. The men who do this best still have their 2 or 3 people. It's the chosen hour that restores you, not the absence of everyone. You probably already do one of these without a name for it. Here's how to do all 3 on purpose. 1. Once a week, take the belief you're most certain about and spend 10 minutes building the strongest case against it. Not to lose it, to earn it. 2. Protect 1 block of chosen solitude. My friend Larry, a machinist, drove the long way home for 30 years just for that. 20 minutes, no input, no screen. Put it on the calendar like it matters, because the research says it does. 3. When an old memory surfaces, don't push it away. Ask 1 question. What does this mean now that it couldn't have meant then? Then let it go. That's the difference between reflection and being stuck. 6 things. Sit with the question. Argue with yourself. Study the feeling. Reread the past. Chase the useless. Turn the wheel. None of them are loud. None will ever get you applause. They happen in a car with the engine off, on a walk with no destination, on a porch at 6 in the morning with a coffee going cold. For years, I thought my Uncle Theo was alone because life had left him there. I was wrong. He was the steadiest man I ever knew. And now, I understand why. Some mornings now, I sit on my own porch and do nothing. It doesn't feel like nothing anymore. And no one gets to call that empty again. So here's what I want from you. In the comments, type the number 1 through 6 that landed hardest. And 1 line on why. Not for me. The next man reading the comments is sitting in the same quiet, and your honesty is what tells him he isn't strange. He's rare. On the screen now, 1 on what deep thinkers quietly accept about being alone, and the one most of you found me through. Pick whichever one speaks to you. I'll see you in the next one.